Hello, elementary artists. I sure do miss seeing you in my classroom. I'm going to use this YouTube channel to try to keep you connected with my weekly art enrichments. I know I find it useful to be able to see something being created to understand it a little better. So I hope you can use this as a tool for that. I hope to keep it simple and fun and use supplies that you can hopefully find around your home. If you're wondering, this is a part of my home. This is a corner of my studio where I work through my inspirations and create all my art. And one thing that I'm often inspired by are characters from books and illustrations in books. This week's enrichment is based on a character named Watson from the book Watson and the Case of the Sneaky Stealer. Up next, I have a read-along and then the enrichment to follow. I hope you enjoy. Watson and the Case of the Sneaky Stealer. One beautiful spring day, a clever raccoon named Watson was walking in the woods and wondering to himself why grass grows up and rain falls down. He just couldn't help himself. Watson loved solving mysteries. All the animals in the forest knew that whenever there was a mystery, Watson was the one to call. That was because Watson had the best sniffer in the woods for nosing out clues. Watson had just started sniffing at the grass when suddenly there was a loud meowing coming from the bushes. "Watson, somebody call Watson!" Watson jumped through the bumbleberry bush and landed nose to nose with Candy Cat. "Watson, I could really use your help." Candy led Watson to the old oak tree in the clearing. Brushing away a pile of leaves, she uncovered balls of yarn in every color of the rainbow except one. "Someone had taken my favorite yellow yarn," Candy cried. Watson started sniffing for clues right away. He picked up a rock and tickled the worm hanging on it underneath. Thought the clever raccoon. Maybe a woolly worm had needed the yarn to make a sweater. He was just about to tell Candy his theory when a great quacking broke out. "Watson, somebody called Watson!" Candy Cat and Watson ran toward the quacking and found David and Darla Duck frantically herding their ducklings together. As soon as Darla saw Watson, she quacked, "Oh, Watson, I could really use your help." The ducks told Watson about their trail of soft, fuzzy down that they had carefully made for their ducklings to follow to the pond. When David and Darla checked on the ducklings, they were waddling in a circle. Somebody had taken half their trail. Watson set to work sniffing for clues. Shaking off the down that stuck to his tail, he had an idea. Perhaps a horde of hedgehogs made away with their down stuck to their quills. But before he could break the case, he heard some serious squeaking. "Watson, somebody call Watson!" The animals rushed toward the squeak and discovered Ronald Rat, scurrying back and forth in front of his garden, muttering to himself. "It's gone! My rope! It's gone!" Ronald called Watson over to take a look at the missing section of fence. "Watson, it was one of my greatest treasures." Watson began to feel a little overwhelmed. There sure were a lot of mysteries to solve today, and he didn't want to disappoint his friends. "Can you help me, Watson?" asked the rat. "Well," said Watson, "I think so. Of course you can," cried Darla Duck. "Watson, we believe in you." So Watson started looking for clues right away. He sniffed the peas and wondered when all of a sudden Candy Cat meowed. "My yarn! My beautiful yellow yarn!" And there it was, peeking around the edge of Ronald Rat's pea barn. Watson had a brilliant idea. With Watson in the lead, the group tracked the trail of yellow yarn from Ronald Rat's garden, past the duck's pond, and through the woods until they found themselves circled around the old oak tree. "Look," squeaked Ronald, "up there." Slowly Watson pushed back the leaves, and there on the crook of the branch was a mother bird and 4 chirping baby birds. "Oh," whispered the animals, when they saw all their treasures woven into the tiny nest. Suddenly it didn't matter if they got their belongings back. They were just happy to be able to help out their tiny birds. The animals didn't want to disturb the birds, so they scurried, trotted, and waddled away to celebrate. "Hooray for Watson!" they cheered, with a toast of bumbleberry juice. And a happy day it was, because the animals knew all they had to do was shout, "Watson! Somebody call for Watson!" And help would soon be there, because their friend Watson loved solving mysteries. Welcome to this week's Enrichment. After reading the book Watson and the Sneaky Stealer, I'm inspired by the character Watson. He was very caring, and he was the kind of character you could count on. And I also like the way raccoons look. So this week we are going to create our own Watson character, Watson in a tree. My example's a little large, but we'll scale it down a little bit. You are welcome to do it this large if you'd like. We're just going to use some simple supplies from around home. Hopefully you can get your hands on a scissors, a brown paper bag, a Sharpie marker, a pencil, and some crayons, okay? Most importantly, gray, white, and black. Okay, we'd like more colors for the background for the sky, but the gray, white, and black are the most important. And you're going to begin by cutting your paper bag apart a little bit. Right at the seam I would begin, and cut straight down at the seam, because you can use this whole side as a full sheet if you'd like I did with my example, kind of the bigger size. I'm just going to keep cutting along this square. Okay, and be careful. Always be careful with scissors. Alright, we can cut those handles off. And we have a big sheet of paper if you'd like, or for the next part I'm just going to cut this in half, a little more manageable. Okay, so this is what we're going to start with. Okay, from here I'm going to try to walk you through this, kind of a guided drawing. So we're going to start by making kind of a football shape. And I always tell the kids, tell everyone, draw light until you get it right, in case you need to erase. So we have our football shape. Then I'm going to slowly add another line. A little ball at the end for Watson's nose. I'm going to draw my line straight across here. Couple more circles for the eyes. Now a little erasing. Come right up here. Like a C. Give it some fingers here. Maybe some feet coming out from here. Gotta give them a tail. Nice, big, thick raccoon tail. Oh, and the best part, the raccoon ears. And we'll guide it to the tree trunk that he is hanging on. All right. A couple more details. Got to give our raccoon tail some stripes. So that's the signature of raccoons. And one more thing, the inside of the ear. Could give ourselves a sun up here if we'd like. Maybe a little texture on the tree. All right. So next, if you have a Sharpie marker, you're going to go over your lines. Like to put a curve in there because the tail is round. So we want to make sure that these lines have a nice curve in them, like a C. It's called a cut. Alright, well, we'll start in with the color. We'll start with the white, because we need white in his eyes. On his brow, his nose, and his belly. Got a color kind of bold to make it pop out. Right, next we're going to move on to black. Let's see here. Got to give him black in his ears. Guess I did leave a little circle for a little white glare on his nose. Oh, and then his tail, black stripes. Right. Now the rest of them, if you have a gray crayon, you can shade in some gray on the rest of his body. Oh, I forgot to go over my lines on the tree. Give my tree a little texture. Right, then you can move on to the background. Start with my sun, coloring as bold as possible because the paper bag is dark. And even using more than one color. Blending your colors, layering your colors, all very fun to do, very fun to experiment with. And I'm going to shade in some blue in the background and go right over the top of that sun because that yellow is sticking out. And I think I'll add some clouds over the top of all that. Some little popcorn clouds, just to add some variety in the background. And there you have it, our Watson in a tree.